Hey, AP Computer Science A. Let's open up BlueJ. And it might open up to our last project, whatever that is. I'm going to close that. Okay, so this might be the last video demonstrating things for this unit. And the last like 4 assignments, you definitely need this video for. So we're going to create a new project. I'm going to keep alphabetically going. I'm going to call it P1Z project. P1Z project. So create your own. Following along, doing your own. So we're going to do new class, and we're going to call this one array. Okay, just array. Capital A, R-R-A-Y. All right. So double click it. Let's get rid of everything in here. Public class array. You guys should be getting pretty good at this. Open curly braces. Closing curly braces. Let's comment them now. End class array. All right. I'm going to come up here, and you know what's coming up next. Public static void main parentheses string capital S args. Okay, and another curly brace, and each thing in here is going to be tabbed in. So closing curly brace, they should line up. This coloring stuff will kind of help you show that they line up. End method main. All right. So we're going to talk about arrays. Now, arrays are a type of way of storing information in Java. It's sort of like collecting a bunch of stuff together. And an array is sort of like you kind of think of as like a linear sort of row of boxes holding things in them. So we're going to create one first, int, and we use this for arrays, these regular brackets. And so this array is going to hold ints. So you got to create the array to hold a certain type of thing. So and we're going to give it a name. This is the variable, random numbers. I don't know. We'll just say that equals, and then these are actually a type of object. So we're going to say new int. And then here you say the size of it. So I want to hold 10 things. I want to have 10 spots. Okay, so we first are declaring a variable random numbers of type array that holds ints. And then over here we actually create it, instantiate it, and say what size we want it to be. So now there's some different ways to fill it. So we could say random numbers equals, and we can use these like curly braces. So this is a quick way to fill it at the beginning. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 things. All right. So that's one way you could do it. I don't think we're going to use that way very often. And then let's go ahead and talk about, well, how could we print everything out in the array? And so this is where a for loop comes in really handy, because we know there's a certain amount of things. So we're going to say for, you got to create a counter. Now the counter here, I'm not going to call it counter. I'm going to call it index, because the index is the location of each thing in the array. So right now there are 10 spots, and the first spot is not spot 1, spot 2, spot 3. The first spot is spot 0. So arrays start at 0. So if you have 10 things, it's going to be spot 0 to spot 9. which just coincidentally right now matches what's stored in it. So usually you want to, I'm going to call it index because that's sort of a name for the name of what spot it is. And we usually start at 0 when we're going to go through an array. And then we want to say, well, we want the index to keep going until, as long as it's less than 10. You could do that, or you could say less than or equal to 9. Okay. If you try and go to spot 10, you're going to get an error. Index plus plus, that will increment it up 1 each time. So this is also some good review or just more information experience with for loops in for. So let's just say we want to just print out each thing that's in it. System.out.println. Now we want to say, well, let's take what's in random numbers array in the current spot index. So the index is keeping track of what spot we're trying to do, and then this will access it. This will access what's in the array at this spot. Okay? Let's try it out. It should print all those values in order on new lines. So compile, it doesn't like that. Illegal start of an expression. So there's something wrong with this. You might have to do it. Let's try this. I'm actually stuck right now, but I'll try this. I'm going to comment out that line, and I'm going to declare it here and fill it at the same time. I think you might have to do those together. So let's try that. Yep, that's good. I don't think we're going to use that style of putting the values in, though, usually. All right, compile it. Let's try and run it. Void main. Let's see. There you go. It worked. So anyways, that's one way to do it. And that's how we print it all out. Now, by the way, if we said less than or equal to 10 or less than 11, what would happen? Well, it would compile. So you don't have any syntax errors. But then when we go to run it, this is going to be a common problem. We get an array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds. You're out of bounds. You went too far. You went past the end of the array. It can't do that. Okay? And this is the spot where it actually tried to do it. It tried to do random numbers 10. There is no 10 spot. It starts at 0. So we can't do that. Now, one little trick to help you is we could, and also let's say we change the size of the array. Instead of putting 10 there, we can actually get the size of the array. Random numbers, put the name of it, dot length. So this is a method in the array class. Now I'll give you the length. Now this will give you 10. It's not going to give you 9. It's going to give you the actual length that we want to specifically be less than. So that's kind of I want you guys to use that as much as possible. Whenever you're working with arrays, use dot length in the for loops. Okay. Now I'm going to comment that out. Another way of putting the values, well, I'm going to show you in the next program another way of entering the values. We could just put them in one at a time. Like you could say, I want random numbers spot 0 to equal 0. And then you could do random numbers bracket 1, spot 1, I want to put a 1 in it. So you can do that one at a time. Now let's try this right now because this array doesn't have anything in it except for these first 2 spots. But this is going to run through the whole array. Let's see what it does. I don't know, just see. It's good to just try things out. Now I'm going to clear this window. Close it. Right click, left click on void main. And look, it did 0 and 1, and then it printed zeros for all the other spots. So there are some things Java does. Like if you don't put a value in an array of ints, it by default puts zeros in there until you change it. So anyways, let's go back here. I really want to put random numbers in here though. So I don't want to, I want it to generate random numbers. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to, and what would be good is we want to fill every spot in the array with random numbers. So a for loop would be good, a good tool to do that. We want to go through the whole thing, int index equals 0. Index is less than random numbers dot length, semicolon, index plus plus, increments it by 1, curly brace, closing curly brace, comment the ending curly brace, end for. On tests, I'm going to be picky about that kind of stuff. Now, what we could do is we could say, well, in each spot, random numbers index. So this will be like, well, in that spot, what do you want to do? I want to put something in there, but I want to use math.random. Let's do that. Remember that from earlier, math.random? Now, the problem is this is going to give you a random number, a double, which I think is going to be a problem because we're going to be trying to put a double into an int. So right now, if we compile it, we'll probably get an error. Yep, incompatible types. Can't put doubles where we expect ints. So we're definitely going to have to we're going to have to cast it. And that's where you put int in parentheses in front of it, and that forces it to become an integer. And the way it does is it just cuts off all the decimals. So now they're all going to be 0, so which is not very random. So we probably want to scale it. Do we want them, and we got to scale it separate before the casting. So we got to put this in parentheses. So we're going to multiply it by something. I'm going to say, let's do random numbers between 0 and 20. 20 times. So you multiply by 20, that scales it. So now instead of 0 to 9.999, it's 0 to 19.999. Now, if you really want to get that extra 20, we would have to multiply by 21, because then it truncates it, and you'll never get 21. You get 20.99999. When you cut it off, you'll potentially get a 20. But 0 is fair game, so. And let's say when we go to print them out, instead of printing them out on new lines, let's print them all out on the same line. So let's get rid of the new line, the ln, but we need a little space between them or something. So inside here, we could do plus parentheses space, and that would put an extra space in between each of them. You know what I mean? We could even do a tab, but this will now print them all on the same line with a space between them. Okay, so let's try that out. Let's see if that works. Compile. All right, no syntax errors. Right click, void main. All right, there you go. Random numbers. There are 10 of them, and they're all on a line. So that's it for this one. But we're going to do another one right now, right after it. So I'm going to not in the video. Let's go to a new project. Well, let's close this one. And we're going to do a new project. And I kind of ran out of letters. I was trying to do it with, so I used the last letters in the alphabet, but I didn't count to it. So I'm going to call this one P1ZZ. All right. Just, I don't know. Great. All right. We're going to maximize this, and we're going to do a new class, and this is going to be GuessingGame3, and it's going to be kind of like GuessingGame2, but a little more interesting. So, GuessingGame3. All right, we're going to get rid of all this. All right, so we're going to do public class guessing game 3 curly brace, oops, curly brace. And you know what? Let's go ahead and copy the code we have from Guessing Game 2, because there's a bunch of it that's the same. I don't want to retype all of it. So let's compile, which should be fine. And I'm going to close this, which is still here. And I'm going to say project, open a project. And that was in P1Y, I think. There it is, Guessing Game 2. And let's go ahead and copy all this code right here. Okay. So I think it's the main method. So we're going to copy all that. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close the project also. Close project. I'm going to go back to Guessing Game 3 and I'm going to paste this in here. All right. So I have all the Guessing Game 2 stuff in here. But what I want to do now for Guessing Game 3 is I really want it to get a random day of the week. Okay. Now we can create random numbers. We can't create random days of the week. Okay. So the way we do that is we're going to create an array that holds all the days of the week. So that's going to be our first thing. So instead of day of the week, it's going to be an array of string objects. So we're going to add that. So it's going to be an array, and it's going to be a new array that holds strings. How big should it be? 7. 7 days of the week, right? So we're going to do that. And then down here for days of, now instead of day of the week, let's call it like days of the week. Okay, so it's going to hold all, this is going to hold all the days of the week. Okay, and so then days of the week. And we can't really use a for loop to do this. So we're going to do it that other way I was showing you last time. We're going to say bracket 0 bracket, and the first one should be Monday. Let's put them in order. I mean, they don't have to be, but there's Monday. Now we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I think this is a good spot to just copy and paste. Copy and paste. All right. And then we got to change the locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Starts at 0. We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, I think this is our best. But I guess we could have done it that other one where they're all in line, but this is another way. So we filled the days of the week with all the days of the week. Okay. Now we need to pick a random day of the week. So how do we do that? Our random number generator only knows how to create numbers. So what I think we need to do is we can create a random number for the spot of the day of the week. Okay, so we need another variable. So I'm going to create an integer, and I'm going to call it random index. Okay, random index, and I'm not going to initialize it yet. I'm just going to declare it random index. And so then down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say random index equals, we're going to use math.random, but we specifically want a number 0 to 6 inclusive. So we need to multiply, if we multiply by 6, now these are going to be decimals, so we're going to need to put parentheses around it. And we're going to need to cast it. It's out in front, but it needs to be separate after we multiply. Now, 6 times this is going to give you 0 to 5.999. And when you cast it, it's going to truncate it. Just chop off the decimals. You can only get 0 to 5. So we always have to go up one more. Okay? It's got to be 7. All right? And so this should give us 0 to 6.999. And you truncate it, it's 0 to 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is how we're going to do it. So that's going to give us, that's going to pick the random day of the week, but it's going to pick the location of the random day of the week. All right. Now we're still going to, we can just keep, let's see. Now, just to check that our thing worked, okay? And this could also be a way to help the people guess correct. Let's print all the days of the week out. Okay, and a for loop is really good for doing that. For int index is a good name for the counter. Start at 0. Index is less than. Now remember what I said to use. Let's use days of the week dot length. Okay, and index plus plus. Opening curly brace. Closing curly brace. End for do system dot out dot println days of, so we want to pull one day of the week out one at a time. Days of the week bracket index. So this will print all of them out. Now I think we should do these on separate lines because on a single line I'd get too much. So I want to do the new line ln. Let's print them out and then we'll ask for a guess. Okay. So let's see. Let's just try this out. I think now we're going to have to try something else. Like if I try and compile right now, it's going to have problems. It says cannot find scanner. Oh, we got to do that import thing at the top. I didn't copy and paste that. So let's do that. Import java.util.scanner. So that's one problem. Okay, compile it. I think we're gonna have some others. It says cannot find symbol variable day of the week. Because remember we changed it to days of the week? But this isn't gonna be good either. If you try and compile it, it's trying to compare a string to an array of strings. I don't think that's gonna work out well. Says, oh, I guess it didn't get by there. That's weird. Days of the week. I guess it did compile. It's weird. Now, for days of the week, what I want to put in here, like if we do this, I feel like it's going to have an issue. Let's just try it. I don't think this is going to work because days of the week is an array. We want to look at a specific one there. Let's compile. Let's run it. Let's see what happens. So just because it compiles doesn't mean you're going to run to runtime errors. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this is also showing you, hey, this is how you should guess it. I have no idea what the random number is. That might be something good to. Thursday, wrong. Ooh. And it's supposed to print out the right answer. This, when you just try and print out an array, it prints out, it's kind of like the address and the memory for it. So that's no good. And that might have also mean that every time we guess, it might be wrong. So we need to go in here and days of the week, we need to put bracket index or random index, right? Isn't that where we store the random number? Random index, close bracket. All right. And then down here, we need the same thing. Days of the week, bracket, random index. Random index. Okay. That should probably work better. Okay. And then this will at least print out the right answer, but we don't know what it is going in. So maybe we'll just try our luck a few times, and hopefully you want to try it until you get it right, until you get it wrong. Okay. So this should hopefully work, but this is maybe our solution to getting a random word out of a group of words. You store them in an array. Arrays are also really helpful for storing a lot of things in a row. Okay, so compile it. It compiles. Right click, void main. Okay, I'm gonna try Tuesday. Oh, I got it. All right, cool. Let's try it again. I mean, if you keep getting it right like 5 times in a row, you should probably be worried that you're always gonna get it right, even though you shouldn't get it right. So let's try Friday. Wrong. Correct answer is Wednesday. So I'm feeling good about that. And it did give us a different correct answer. It is randomizing it. So, I mean, you could always try it just a few times just to make sure. Okay. Saturday. Now, it's wrong as money. Now, if you misspell the word, it's going to be wrong for sure, even if it's the right, like if you did lowercase Monday, it would tell you you're wrong and that this was the correct answer. So, but I think that's pretty good. Anyway, so you got some practice with arrays and a little more for loop stuff, which we often use with arrays. So now you have, I think, everything you need to do the last 4 assignments from Unit 1. So P1, I think P1, let's see, E, you're supposed to use arrays, F, and G. So there you go.